kinesiologists and vascular biologists has emerged regarding the postprandial mechanical error. This is a state where a common 2-minute habit, specifically the act of immediate sedentary collapse or intense, focused sitting right after eating, triggers a catastrophic hemodynamic stall that effectively ages the arterial tree by years in a single afternoon. To reach the full investigative depth required to protect the biological integrity of the heart, we must deconstruct the vascular-digestive shunt and the silent erosion that occurs when we fail to bridge the gap between consumption and circulation. The investigation begins with the Mesenteric Hijack crisis. In 2026, researchers have identified that the digestive process is one of the most metabolically demanding events the body undergoes. The moment food enters the system, the body must redirect a massive volume of blood to the gut to facilitate nutrient absorption. In a healthy physiological state, this redirection is balanced by subtle shifts in peripheral vascular tone. However, for those over the age of 60, or those with early-stage arterial stiffness, the 2-minute mistake of sitting perfectly still after a meal creates a venous pool in the lower extremities. Because the skeletal muscles are not contracting to push blood back toward the heart, the preload pressure drops. The heart, sensing a lack of return volume, must beat harder and faster against constricted peripheral arteries to maintain blood flow to the brain. This creates a state of acute vascular friction, where the heart is essentially redlining while the rest of the body appears to be at rest. Furthermore, we must address the glycemic ripple effect triggered by this sedentary stall. In 2026, we recognize that blood sugar management is not just about insulin, it is about muscle glucose clearance. When you sit still immediately after eating, the largest glucose sinks in the body. The quadriceps and glutes remain dormant. This causes a sharp, sustained spike in blood glucose that lingers in the bloodstream. This excess sugar acts as a chemical abrasive, leading to endothelial glazing, a process where the delicate inner lining of the arteries becomes sticky and inflamed. The investigative cardio audits of 2026 have shown that this 2-minute failure to engage the muscles leads to a massive release of superoxide radicals, which mow down the protective glycocalyx forest. Even if you are eating a heart-healthy diet, this mechanical error turns your nutrition into a source of vascular rust. The third player in this silent progression is the vagus nerve mismatch. In the medical landscape of 2026, we have identified that heart failure is often preceded by a loss of autonomic coordination. Digestion is a parasympathetic rest and digest activity, but the heart requires a certain level of sympathetic tone to move blood against the pressure of a full stomach. When you collapse into a chair for more than 2 minutes after a meal, you send conflicting signals to the brain. The gut is demanding blood, the brain is demanding oxygen, and the heart is caught in the middle with no mechanical assistance from the limbs. This autonomic static causes a sudden surge in blood pressure as the body panics to maintain equilibrium. This is the postprandial pressure hammer, a silent strike that can trigger arrhythmias or even plaque instability in vulnerable individuals. The fourth layer of this investigation involves the liquid fructose and lipid synergy. Modern cardiology in 2026 recognizes that the danger of a meal is magnified by the lack of post-meal movement. When fats and sugars enter the bloodstream simultaneously, without the clearinghouse effect of walking, they form large lipoprotein aggregates. These heavy particles are more likely to become trapped in the arterial walls under the high-pressure environment created by post-meal sitting. The 2026 senior knows that the 2-minute mistake is effectively a green light for plaque development. By contrast, even a slow 2-minute stroll or a series of light ankle pumps acts as a vascular siphon, encouraging the blood to move in a laminar, smooth fashion that prevents these particles from settling. We must also deconstruct the enzymatic vacation of the liver during this post-meal window. The liver is responsible for clearing the inflammatory markers that arise during digestion, but it requires high levels of oxygenated blood to perform this chemical scrub. When you are sedentary, the liver's blood supply is compromised by the mesenteric shunt. In 2026, we have found that this leads to metabolic sludge building up in the interstitial spaces, putting further pressure on the capillaries. If you are feeling heavy or sleepy after a meal, it is not just a sign of a full stomach, it is a sign of vascular stagnation. The truth of 2026 is that stagnation is the primary architect of decay. By moving for just a few minutes, you provide the liver with the oxygenated surge it needs to clean the blood before it recirculates to the brain. The investigative cardio audit of 2026 has shown that individuals who avoid the sedentary stall and instead engage in microkinetic defense, light movement after eating, See a 30% reduction in post-meal blood pressure spikes. This is the physical evidence of metabolic integrity. By ensuring the heart does not have to fight against the gravity-induced pool of blood in the legs, you are preserving the delicate elasticity of the aorta. This preservation is the difference between a decade of decline and a decade of vibrant, active life. Vigilance remains the ultimate guardian of your longevity. To live well is to monitor well, to nourish well, and to move with the assurance that your body is not fighting a hidden war against its own gravity. The era of the unquestioned post-meal nap is over. The era of precision vascular awareness has begun. Every heartbeat is a gift. Don't let a silent clench take it away. Choose the anchor of consistency over the storm of interference, and watch as your heart thrives for decades to come. This investigation into the post-meal era finally has its most actionable answer. Protect your heart, protect your mind, and choose the truth. Precision is everything, and the truth will keep your vessels clean and your mind sharp for decades to come. In 2026, we have the tools to measure the microscopic turbulence caused by daily habits. The data is undeniable. Those who prioritize vascular peace through movement live longer. Those who rush while ignoring their internal state age their hearts prematurely. Your heart and brain have already given you millions of moments of consciousness. It is time to pay them back with 2 minutes of intentional movement and systemic release. This is the ultimate gift of 2026 medicine. The realization that sometimes the most productive thing you can do for your longevity is to simply stay on your feet after a meal. By prioritizing this window of systemic circulation, you protect your delicate arteries from unnecessary friction, allowing your metabolic rhythm to stabilize and ensuring your cardiovascular legacy remains strong for the many vibrant decades still ahead. Your heart is a masterpiece of endurance, but even the strongest engine requires a moment of cooling and a change of gears. Do not wait for a symptom to tell you what your heart is already whispering through its rhythm. Listen to the silence, monitor the pressure, and choose the path of intentional biological grace. The era of silent brain strain ends when awareness begins. In the final investigative analysis, the story of post-meal heart damage is a story of biological adaptation gone wrong, a story you now have the power to rewrite. The 2026 senior knows that the one-size-fits-all approach to health is dead. Whether it is through advanced fluid tracking or metabolic optimization, the goal is the same: to remove the friction from the cardiovascular system. By incorporating this 2-minute correction, you are removing the rust from your neurons and the plaque from your pipes. The investigative journey is complete, the evidence is overwhelming, and the path forward is found in the simplicity of kinetic awareness. Reclaim your metabolic peace today. Let the fluids of life circulate with grace. Turn your back on the era of the ignored symptom and embrace the era of biological integrity. Every afternoon is a new opportunity to protect your heart, ensuring every vibrant heartbeat supports a legacy of wellness for you and your future generations. Furthermore, we must address the nocturnal cardiac trap. Many people feel excellent during the day because their bodies are overcompensating for a lack of restorative sleep. In 2026, we have found that blood pressure that fails to dip at night is one of the strongest predictors of a morning heart attack. If you have spent your day in a series of post-meal sedentary stalls, your heart carries that pressure into the night. Your vessels have had no time to repair the damage from the day before. The 2026 precision strategy involves the evening buffer, ensuring your final meal of the day is followed by light movement to signal the arteries to open and the heart to slow. This prevents the morning surge that triggers so many neurological and cardiac emergencies. Your heart's repair system can only function when the pressure is low and the body is in a state of flow rather than stagnation. Finally, we must recognize the power of microvascular resilience. In 2026, we have found that even after years of silent stress, the brain and heart possess a remarkable capacity for repair. When the high-pressure interference of post-meal sitting is removed, the body begins to form new collateral pathways to bypass damaged capillaries. This process of restoration is fueled by the very oxygenation we often neglect. By standing up and moving today, you are giving your heart the raw materials it needs to rebuild its own infrastructure. This is the true science of 2026, a move from replacement to restoration. Honor your biology, reclaim your legacy. The path forward is as simple as the courage to look beyond the normal feeling of post-meal lethargy toward the truth of your own internal vitality. The era of passive aging is officially over. The 2026 medical community is handing the controls back to you. By understanding the asymptomatic cerebrovascular erosion and the mechanical reality of the post-meal window, you are no longer a victim of a silent strike. You are a vigilant guardian of your own neurological fortress. Every decision to move, every moment of deep breathing, and every session of post-meal kinetic defense is a brick in the wall of your defense. Your heart is strong, your mind is capable, and your future is a vast landscape of possibility. Reclaim your metabolic peace. Let the fluids of life circulate with grace. Turn your back on the rust and the fog. Your second century is just beginning, and it will be your most vibrant era yet. Through this detailed exploration, we understand that cardiovascular health is a delicate balance of enzymatic signals and mechanical forces. The normal feeling of sedentary aging is a burden you no longer have to carry blindly. Reclaim your metabolic peace today. Let the fluids of life circulate with grace. Turn your back on the era of the unquestioned rest and embrace the era of biological integrity. Every afternoon is a new opportunity to protect your heart and brain, ensuring every vibrant heartbeat supports a legacy of enduring wellness for you and your future generations. The simple act of auditing your post-meal habits is your greatest investment in a second century of vibrant existence. Honor your biology. Honor your life. The power to transform your health and prevent the silent strike is in your hands, one decision at a time. The investigation into the 2-minute mistake concludes with a focus on the lymphatic synergy involved in these movements. The lymphatic system, which is responsible for clearing metabolic waste and toxins from the tissues, has no pump of its own. It relies entirely on the movement of the muscles and the pressure changes of the diaphragm. When a senior is sedentary after a meal, metabolic sludge builds up in the interstitial spaces, putting further pressure on the capillaries. The act of standing and walking acts as a manual lymphatic drain. By clearing this waste, you are reducing the vascular resistance that your heart must overcome with every single beat. In 2026, we see that the most vibrant seniors are those who keep their fluids in motion, understanding that stagnation is the primary architect of cardiovascular decay. As we close this investigation, remember that the heart is a rhythmic engine that thrives on the dance of movement and rest. The 2-minute correction, simply standing or walking lightly after you eat, is your primary tool for maintaining that rhythm. It is the key to unlocking a level of vitality that many thought was impossible in the later stages of life. But in 2026, we know better. We know that the body is a masterpiece of endurance that simply needs the right manual of care. Take this knowledge and make it yours. Let your heart beat with the strength of 100 years of wisdom. Reclaim your metabolic peace and watch as your world. The investigation into the 2-minute mistake after meals finally has its most actionable answer. Protect your heart, protect your mind, and choose the truth. Precision is everything, and the truth will keep your vessels clean and your mind sharp for decades to come. Every decision to move, every breath taken with intention, and every meal followed by light activity is a testament to your commitment to a second century of health. The investigation is complete, the path is clear, and the future of your heart is in your hands. Reclaim your life and thrive in the stillness of your own biological wisdom. Honor your biology. Honor your life. The power to transform your health is in your hands, one decision at a time. The era of silent organ strain ends when awareness begins. Furthermore, we must address the vagus nerve anchor that is activated during this brief window of post-meal movement. In 2026, we recognize that chronic high blood pressure is often a symptom of vascular static. When you perform a light walk after a meal, you exert direct pressure on the vagus nerve. This nerve acts as the brake pedal for the heart. By the time the 2 minutes are up, the individual has signaled the brain to slow the heart rate and open the peripheral arteries, reclaiming metabolic peace in less than a few minutes. This is not just a habit. It is a structural intervention that prevents the aortic shockwave from damaging the brain's delicate capillaries. Precision in your movement is the ultimate medicine. Reclaim your life now and watch as your brain and heart flourish in the light of your own awareness.